Age 21, I was doing my study year abroad in Mexico when I got a call from my father to say that my grandmother was very ill and had gone into hospital and that she would die soon. He offered to pay for my flight home so I could have some final moments with her before she died. These moments with her were extremely precious and times that I will never forget. I only realised what a privilege this was when I started working in a migrant centre in Ceuta, which is a Spanish city in the north of Morocco, where every week there are hundreds of migrants climbing over the walls in order to get into Ceuta or coming over in a boat. One of my students that I was teaching Spanish to from Cameroon was extremely upset one day, and I asked him why, and he said that his brother was extremely ill and that he would do anything to see him again before he died. I thought back to the phone call with my father and realised how privileged I was to have been able to fly home at that moment. I was then asked to attend the funeral of a migrant that had washed up on the shore on the way round in a boat to Ceuta. We were unable to identify his body to know where he'd come from or who his family was. There was only a few volunteers that attended his funeral that day, and I realised what a privilege it was to have a funeral in your home country surrounded by the people that love you. I ran a music workshop at the migrant centre in Ceuta, where every week some of the individuals there would compose different songs. It was a really beautiful group, and one day they devised this song with the chorus, "Mother, One Day I Will Return," sung in 4-part harmony with guitar, percussion. And when I was listening to it, I just burst into tears, because I thought about saying goodbye to my own mother 6 months earlier and how painful and precious that goodbye felt. And then I looked at these amazing individuals in front of me that had said goodbye to their mothers for at least 5 years, probably 20 years, or maybe never. So thinking about this privilege that we have in order to leave our homes and then come back. For example, when I was 18, I went to Senegal, and I remember leaving my friends and family and crying and thinking, what the hell am I doing? This is terrifying. And when I came back 6 months later, it was as if nothing had changed. So I've really been reflecting on this privilege that I have and how much these individuals who have left their country because of war, because of poverty, have sacrificed in order to seek a better life abroad. And I'm seeing it every day now working in East London with migrant communities. For example, one of my friends last week was extremely upset because her sister was ill and she really wanted to go back to Sudan, but there was no way she could go back. One of my Bangladeshi students speaks to her mum on Skype every day, and she hasn't seen her for 8 years, and she often gets very upset thinking about her mother. There was a conversation that I had last week with a Somalian woman who was telling me that her next door neighbour kept telling her and her children to go home back to Somalia, and how it was really upsetting her. Firstly, because her children were actually born in the UK, and it really confused them to be told to go home when they were actually at their home. But also, she said to me, I would go home if I could, but thinking back to Somalia when I left it, I could never go back there now. She was telling me about sitting in front of her house with her brother and sister and how they would watch the gunshots fly across the sky and it looked like fireworks and they thought it was beautiful. And her mother would tell them all to go inside and get them to hide in different parts of the house so that if the house was bombed, her mother wouldn't lose all the children at once. I want to live in a society where these individuals that have sacrificed so much and left so much behind feel welcomed and feel like the UK can be their new home. I don't think this has to be that hard. I think it's about communicating with these individuals, listening to their stories, feeling compassionate for what they have gone through, and then we can create a world where everyone feels valued and welcome. I think that when we take time to recognise the privilege of home, we can then feel that it's our responsibility to help these individuals feel welcome in the UK and that this can be their home too.